Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off Live, brought to you by Bet365. Bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets when you use the promo code Leading Off. It's me, Joey P. That, of course, is Scott Bogman, and it's you, the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. And welcome to Major League Baseball, everybody, where everybody is hurt. And another guy just went on the IL 8 seconds ago, Boggs. Grayson Rodriguez to the IL 15
Oh my
days.
God.
Melanie Newman just reported it. So we'll get to that in a second. I literally just saw that when I refreshed X, and I went, oh, look at that. Isn't that a nice cherry on top of the Mike Trout injury, which is where we're going to start here today, Scott Bogman. Take a deep breath, everybody. Let's get after it. Here we go. Mike Trout needs surgery on his knee. Sources told Jeff Passan. Obviously, yesterday this news broke. He is going to miss a fair amount of time here with this injury. We're looking at months, not weeks. Probably, most likely would be my guess. Again, still some things floating around there, but he's had a really good year. I mean, 867 OPS, 10 homers, 6 steals in 29 games. He's been fantastic. He's going to need the surgery to repair a torn meniscus in the left knee. Now, again, it depends on how the tear is, Boggs. You know, I know, again, playing baseball and doing other things, very different in terms of this injury. We've seen running backs have this. Sometimes it's a few weeks here, but I mean, it feels like everything with Trout is more like in the months. So, again, let's take this one step at a time. I think the first thing is the Mike Trout analysis. Was the ADP, again, baked in for him, worth it at this point already? He was about 50 overall.
Obviously not. I mean,
you're already at a point where he's going to be, what, a 100-game player at best this year?
At best, right? I mean, it's at least 2 months, it seems like. So, yeah, it stinks, man. It really does. And I thought this was the year, too, and I know Welsh did. I thought this was the year we were getting great value on Trout. I know during the Fantasy Fest he talked about it as well, I believe with Don Del Don, but
no, it was
there's no way to protect
Pianowski was the guy who was like, I'm out.
Pianowski, that's who it was. You're right.
And Scott is, and I told this to Welsh. Welsh was like,
Yahoo guy.
You know, and I was like, Pianowski more often than not is right about that. Like, Scott is one of the best there is. I know this because I played in leagues with the guy for a decade. And
well, you can't predict injuries, though.
But his point wasn't predicting injuries. His point was saying he's 32 years old. Again, the thing that he was wrong about was the stolen bases coming back, which they did. But again, is that the cost now? Like, was him running more now the cost of this meniscus injury?
No, I doubt it. The guy is injury prone, so and this isn't, we weren't worried about the knee. If you're boiling everything down, we were not worried about the knee. And I highly doubt that the stolen bases were the cause of this. Is probably, running into the wall hard. I mean, Trout plays hard. He only knows one way to play, and it has led to him getting hurt. And we're just going to have to bake that in more into next season and just expect this guy maybe at this point to play 100 games. He's going to have at least one long extended IL trip each season, and he has a spinal stenosis on top of all of that. So yeah, it just it really sucks, and it kind of brings the end to the Trout era in baseball, right? I mean, it really kind of does. So he'll play for however many years he's got left, and he'll play as many games as he can, but he's never going to be the MVP level guy that we saw in terms of putting it together for an entire season. He may still be a great player. Look at what he was doing before he got hurt, right? So there's still that in there, obviously, right, which is amazing, but you just have to bake in the fact that he is going to miss games every season from now on. If he doesn't retire, I mean, guy's got more money. He's got so much money.
I don't see that happening. I don't
think so either. The guy loves the game. So he's probably going to stick around for another 4 to 5 years and play 100 games. It hurts to talk about, man. He's one of the best ever. And it really stinks to see him like this. It really sucks.
Yeah, it does. I want to give a shout out, though, to one of our listeners who messaged us on Twitter, Honkus, who showed us a screenshot. He says, thanks, guys, to me and the Welsh, hashtag leading off, where he did indeed trade Mike Trout last week for Julio Rodriguez. The trade that Welsh and I were talking about. I was like, look, you can make this trade right now, chances are, because somebody's impatient. Somebody's not looking at the long term. Somebody's not looking at the dangers of Trout. So Honk is good on you. He made that exact trade and showed us the screenshot of it, which is fantastic. And I guess the bigger point, too, now is the Angels are in, again, up the creek without a paddle. And I was bringing this up earlier. It was like, hey, if Mike Trout gets off to a good couple months, the Angels should absolutely try to remake this organization and trade Mike Trout and learn from the mistake that they had last year with Ohtani. Now, they can't do that. Like, I don't think they'll be able to pull that off because, or if they do, it'll be a fraction of what they could get had he had a full healthy 3 months. If Mike Trout had an all-star first half, I think you could get a package around Heston Kjerstad and Kobe Mayo and maybe some pieces like that. Maybe just 2 guys and rebuild this organization and bring that payroll down. But Boggs, where does this leave the Angels now too? And then we'll get to the fantasy implications too, because again, replacing Mike Trout is not an easy thing to do. But I do have some ideas and I want to hear yours. Let's talk about the Angels ramifications first.
Well, what do you think? I mean, they're up that old creek that we don't like, and they have no paddle, right?
Yeah.
That is where it leaves them. I mean, Joe
Schitt's
Adell
Creek,
has been
one of my
hitting...
favorite shows, by the way.
Yeah,
I could say that.
Look,
I could say that.
Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
it's spelled with 2 T's and a C.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it sucks. You take the biggest bat out of that lineup. I mean, who are you replacing him with? The resurgence of Joe Adell, Miguel Sano, until
the resurgence of Joe Adell from a power speed standpoint, yes. From a batting average standpoint,
by the way,
it is a good band name.
The resurgence of Joe Adell.
Nick Castellanos, a guy that I would love to get via trade right now because I think he's got another 5 months ahead of him. A guy who's been who's been hot right now, who is maybe this week Band-Aid, Mark Canha of Detroit, who, again, not a long-term solution, but he does have 5 homers on the season so far in 29 games played. He is hitting 278 on the year in the last 2 weeks. He's hitting 349. So, again, that's a player maybe as a stopgap guy. When we start to look,
they're not trading for stopgaps. They're not putting more money.
No. I'm talking about fantasy now. I'm talking about Castellanos for fantasy.
Oh, okay.
Canha for fantasy. I'm talking about, because when you said, what are the stopgaps? And I actually said,
I'm not in your brain, Joe. You got to tell me when you're switching.
Well, when you said Joe Adell, that made sense to me as like a stopgap in real life for fantasy. So maybe my brain's working
I
too
get
fast.
it. I see.
Because he's still rostered in only like 60% of leagues right now, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty low. And he's been great. Yeah, in turn, there is no look. Here's the nice part is that you don't have to care about this roster spot for the rest of the year, right? So you can churn it. Just take a guy that's hot. You mentioned Mark Canha right now has been great. When he quits hitting,
54% of leagues for Adell, by the way. That's shocking still.
When he quits hitting, dump his ass, pick up somebody else. You know what I mean? You churn this. That's how you solve this problem is you pick up a hot guy, you ride the wave, you dump him, you ride another wave. That is what you do. You burn and churn for the rest of the year. That's the only way to make up a stat like Trout's, a stat line like Trout's. And that's if you're lucky enough to have Trout in a league that's shallow enough for those type of pickups. Not every league is that shallow. So, the bigger the league that you took him in,
here's another guy
it is to replace him. Obviously,
Jacob Young from the Nationals.
He has been white hot.
He has been white hot. A lot of stolen bases. Obviously, the power is not something, but 12 steals on the year so far in 22 games. And because of Lane Thomas's injury, he's a guy that's getting more at bats. Again, there's no solution here. As Bogman was saying, it's just kind of riding the wave of hot outfielders that are out there on the waiver wire. So Joe Adell would be my first one because he is guaranteed locked playing time now that Trout's out. He would be I don't want to empty the tank for Fab, but I would be aggressive if I had Trout. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Castellanos would be a trade target. Canha would be another guy. We mentioned Young from the sense of the stolen bases. Look, I know Benintendi's had a good run here recently. I don't know if I want to buy into that, but that's another guy too. The last 2 weeks who's been pretty hot. Pages from the Dodgers, another guy too. Again, strikes out a ton, but still, somewhere you could. JJ Bleday is another guy that's been hot. I know there's no answer, but it is just these guys right now, unless you have an excess somewhere else and can make a trade. That's pretty much it. So let's move on.
Andrew Benintendi. Well, what is Andrew Benintendi rostered? I mean, low,
why don't you take a guess? This is a fun game we like to play.
Oh, dude, are you looking at? Because I'm looking at Yahoo.
I'm looking at CBS. So it's 15% over there.
3% on Yahoo for Benintendi. So guys are super low. Yeah, Carter has been good. Yeah.
And he also just had Beck get called up. Doyle out there too.
Sure.
Maybe make here's an interesting one too. Maybe perhaps a long shot trade or buy low trade on Nolan Jones. If he comes back in a couple weeks from that injury and he is healthy, Nolan Jones, there's power, there's speed there. That's an opportunity.
Yeah, I'll say this. It sucks because if you trade for these low guys for Casty and Nolan Jones, how long are you sitting on these guys until they pick it back up, right? So for most cases, I'm just picking up the hot guy, and we're playing burn and churn the rest of the year. It stinks. It's not what you want to do. It's a lot more work, but it's
Would you
better
trade
than
Trout for Nolan Jones?
no. Not if I have IL spots, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to gauge how much we want the 2 months guy.
Nolan Jones is hurt too, right? So is that going to lead to a surgery? So I don't want to trade my one guy for another guy that's already hurt. So I think you're exacerbating the issue. Yeah, Verdugo has been hot.
Yeah, Tyler Black just got called up. We're going to talk about him today in the show too.
Black, Tommy Pham was just called back up. Right. Yeah. So there's ways to help yourself through this. It's not all dead in the water, but it is way more difficult.
It is. It certainly is. And look, the good news is Mike Trout was a 4th round pick this year, 5th round pick, depending on what was going on in your league and the depth of your league. So it's not going to kill you like it used to when it was a 1st round pick. It's not going to kill you in quite the same way, but it does hurt. And especially because now, again, you've missed that window of capitalizing on the great month of April. You missed that window now that he's hurt. Now there's going to be anywhere from 6 weeks, 8 weeks, could be in that range. We'll see. But it's also sad for baseball. And, I think about Ken Griffey Jr.'s career, Boggs, and I think of, how the end of his career was marred by injuries. But I also remember the great playoff, against the Yankees and him having that moment. Trout's never had that moment on the big stage.
Trout's got more time left in baseball. So,
does.
I mean, I think at this point, maybe he's going to look down the barrel at his career and know, I better get out of here. If I want to go play in significant games, I have to get out of this organization. He just needs to. So
yeah, certainly would. I'd love to see Trout get more. Was he have 3 games in the playoffs? I think, if memory serves. Is that what it was? One time, he had 3
not
games.
Enough.
This one time, I went to the playoffs. It was super.
He's
fun.
been to more Eagles playoff games in his career, sitting front
100%.
row, than he has actually with him.
1,000%. So Grayson Rodriguez goes to the 15-day IL shoulder inflammation that was just reported recently. Melanie Newman, 8 seconds before the show, tweeted that. So, all right, that's the big conversation now. Another one bites the dust on the pitching front. What are your thoughts?
I mean, what do you think my thoughts are? They're not great, Joe. Yeah.
To quote another classic film.
Wrong response.
Honestly, I don't know.
This guy's so good. 3.71 ERA, pitching to his Sierra 3.75. The strikeout rate was great. He just put up a great start the other night, and it's just another one bites the dust. It stinks. There's no replacing that. This is the issue. There's no replacing these guys. There's plenty of dudes that have gotten hurt where it is just pick up the hot guy, and in some instances that's all you can do, right? But for these guys, I don't know. Maybe you're gonna, especially for the pitcher,
Slade Ciccone. I mean, there's a name. I don't know. Look. You can. I understand as a Diamondbacks fan, you're taking offense to this, but he is going to pitch. He's got 2 starts so far this year, 12 innings, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk. The whip is at 0.5. I mean, can it get you through 2 weeks? Hopefully. But the bigger problem is, what if this shoulder, is it just the shoulder inflammation? Is there any damage? What happens when he goes for MRIs? That's the big concern at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to have a good game plan for Grayson, because it could be like Framber, right? He comes back in a week. Zach Gallen, everyone was panicking about last week, especially me. It was right after the Steelers had a great draft night. And then I see, sorry about Gallen, Bogman. I was like, oh no, what's going to happen now? But it was a hamstring. So you hold your breath, you see how long it is, and you adjust, when we find out. So hopefully this is a quick IL stint for some inflammation. Probably not, though. And then you go on from there. But yeah, there's no replacing Grayson Rodriguez. What are you going to do? I mean, you trade one of your top hitters for a lower grade hitter and a pitcher. That's a strategy. You have to thread the needle with that, though. You have to have the right person willing to deal people. So in most cases, it's just burn and churn, which is not a fun answer. But yeah, Taj Bradley coming back up.
That's a good name. That's one of the better names I think anyone's thrown out there. Taj Bradley has upside there. Their strikeout ability, again, he had good spring was going in the right direction for him, and then obviously the injury happened and was a big bummer. But another big bummer too, Jose Abreu actually took the minor league assignment, which kind of shocked me, Boggs. Like maybe they're working on finding a trade for him, perhaps. That's the only thing I could think of, because Jerry was like, hey, good call on Abreu in the chat. And I'm like, I'm just kind of shocked that he didn't just take the DFA and move on.
Well, what is he making though? You know,
I guess that's the question here. Look, I mean, I guess you take it, but I'm surprised that he accepted it. I guess they wanted to go down and work, and they haven't given up on him. It appears like the notion was go down, work on your swing, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. That's great. It makes me a little bit nervous though for Low Profito. That's the other thing. Jack Flaherty. Let's talk about something positive. How about 14 strikeouts for Jack Flaherty? He's been steadily. I keep looking at the Jack Flaherty game log the last couple of weeks and going, wow, look at Jack Flaherty kind of putting things together. And when they brought him in, I thought, this is one of these guys that when he was healthy a few years ago, we thought Jack Flaherty was going to be like a stud. He was supposed to be a big time front of the rotation guy for the Cardinals and for fantasy. And then injuries completely derailed him. But take a look at this: 24 swinging strikes, a 46% CSW. So far in the year now, he's got a 4 ERA, but a 1.03 whip. The xERA is lower than the ERA. 50 to 5 strikeout to walk.
ERA is 2.24.
What do you make of this renaissance of Jack Flaherty?
Dude, we kind of thought, a lot of people in the industry thought maybe Flaherty is going to be the guy getting saves here in Detroit, right? Before
That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, Flaherty has been outstanding. The revenge game narrative, right? Of course, we always love those for his old team, the Cardinals. So that was nice. But Flaherty, if someone has dumped him at this point, he is a great pickup. So I would love to have Flaherty. I think I have one share of him right now, but I mean, he's turning it around. Sometimes it just takes these guys a little bit to figure it out. And maybe, you get with a new pitching coach, whatever it is, and you see the transformation happen. I mean, look at Merrill Kelly, played years in the Korean League, and he comes back over, gets with Brett Strom, and has now, a premier innings eater pitcher. I wouldn't say he's an upper echelon pitcher, but pitching in the World Series, the only D-back to win in the World Series last year. So, I mean, I buy more resurgence from pitchers late in their career, I feel like, than I do a lot of hitters. So
fair enough. And Flaherty's not that old yet either. Yu Darvish made his return yesterday. Strikeout total was low, but he looked pretty good. So that's all we could take out of that. 5 innings, we'll take it. Jordan Montgomery was scratched yesterday because of the 2-hour bee colony delay. Boggs, that was a good time. And then they let the guy who treated the bees throw out the first pitch, which I thought was a nice touch there.
I think it was the second first pitch too, man. They were like done. They were ready to play. That's why Jordan Montgomery didn't pitch.
Let the beekeeper go out there. It was hilarious. I loved it. Freddie Peralta got ejected yesterday. I mean, he was certainly, after a rocky start last time out, he was great. 7 strikeouts, 2 runs. Like, he was terrific. Like, we got the over on the Freddie Peralta.
Immediately eject him. No warnings, no nothing. He's gone.
It was crazy. I don't get this. And Riley Green, who was another
crazy.
There's one more guy too. Riley Green, maybe you can still buy low on him, but 3 for 5 with a homer yesterday. I don't know if that window is closed there. So
yeah, it is. It's rapidly closing on Riley Green.
But maybe, just maybe, somebody's got an excess. That's another guy to pluck away. Another thing to do is drop a comment below and subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB to win the Trophy Smack Fantasy Baseball Championship belt. Yes, this can be yours. We're giving this away soon, so make sure you get on it. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell till it goes ding. Drop your comment. That's it. That's all you have to do to win the Trophy Smack Championship belt. Some fun things. Jorge Polanco, 2-run home run against Atlanta yesterday, so maybe he's starting to pull out of his tailspin. And Mason Miller, another save. This one against the Pirates. Not 1, not 2, but 3 strikeouts. Is he the best closer in baseball?
He's one of the best, and you should have heard
fantasy baseball. Funny. Maybe I should make sure I do. Is he the best closer in fantasy baseball? Let's put it this way.
I don't know. Kyle Finnegan has 9 saves, Joe. So Finnegan.
Yeah, but is he striking out the side every time?
Look, Miller's great. I was watching that game at the end. I don't know if you saw the last at bat, but it was Oneil Cruz versus Mason Miller. I believe that was the last debut. And the Pirates announcer was like, the premier guys in baseball. This is what you want to see. Mason Miller versus Oneil Cruz in front of a crowd of 1,300 or whatever it was. It's just, he's right. Like, these are 2 premier players, and no one's at this game because these teams won't spend on their team. So it's
He
kind
has
of
more
that was kind of
strikeouts than
crazy.
Joe Musgrove. He has more strikeouts than Jordan Hicks. He has more strikeouts than Max Fried, Yu Darvish, Bailey Ober. He has more strikeouts than Hunter Brown. That's not surprising there, but I mean, he's
Yeah,
got a
name
lot
me
more
some guys that
strikeouts.
haven't been on the IL. Mason Miller's outstanding, but let's not,
Unbelievable. Just
yeah.
all right, let's talk about
Max
Tyler
Fried
Black.
is 2 games of what, a third of an inning or whatever.
Hey, but last 2 weeks he was back on track, but he's still a starting pitcher. And regardless of how good or bad you are, when you have closers getting as many strikeouts as mid-level fantasy starters, it's something to pay attention to. And
I
he's
like
still
Kelly's
not like
idea.
90% rush. Like
Kelly said, I'm dangling Miller out there for a tier 1 hitter. See what I can get. That is, and I like closers, but that's a great idea.
It's probably a great idea, yeah. But
guys
still,
like Joe
making
will
him
give you Max Fried.
making him a closer was the right idea. Let's talk about rookie Lookie. Tyler Black was called up. Another guy we talked about yesterday, boy. Welsh just completely crushed the prospecting last week. I can't wait for tomorrow. And you should also join us live on the program. But also, we chop that up now as a special segment. But you go back and look at last week. We were talking about Tyler Black, all these guys, 23-year-old infielder, hitting 303, 5 homers, 3 steals, 25 games. They need offense in the worst way. Last year, 558 plate appearances between AA and AAA, 284, 417, 513 slash, 18 homers, 55 steals. So there's power, there's speed. Again, Tyler Black is an infielder, but if you're looking for offense with the Trout injury, Black is a guy that I go right to.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a guy that I drafted in a couple DC 50s, right? Because I expected him to possibly make the roster. Didn't work out, but I eat 1 month and now here he is. So very happy to have Tyler Black up, and he is a great pickup for those of you that have IL spots and can put Trout there and hopefully replace his production.
What do you think of this
by
question?
piecing it together.
Drop Kjerstad for Black. Would you do that? I mean, Kjerstad's not getting the at-bats. He's just kind of like,
yeah, I do that
right now. I would do that too. And look, Black might struggle. He could hit the ground running and be great. You just never know with the young players. That's the nature of the beast. Speaking of the young players, prospect Jackson Holiday, 3 for 6. So Jackson Holiday, we just know this about him. There's one thing Jackson Holiday loves. It's Little Debbie snack cakes, and it is playing in Norfolk. Oh boy, Norfolk is so much fun.
Norfolk's not scary at all, everybody. I love it here.
Oh boy, you know, it really keeps the curls in my hair. That's what it does. Gee whiz. Something about the water down here in the atmosphere. Boy, oh boy, sure is good. But there you go. Jackson Holiday
on those cheeks. Make sure that kid doesn't get burned. You know what I mean?
I know, right? Extra suntan lotion. He looks like he could be your kid, actually. I just say,
God forbid.
If Scott Bogman, that could definitely be like, I mean, with your people don't know about the curls of the Bogman. I know about the curls. I know what's under that hat. I know.
Lots and lots of hair.
Ladies, what's under that hat is special. Let me tell you, it is stunning and brave. Orioles third base prospect Kobe Mayo, 2 for 3 with a 3-run homer too. He also loves Norfolk. Everybody loves Norfolk. Kyle Manzardo, another guy Welsh talked about last week, another solo home run for him. TikTok, Guardians, let's go. What are we doing here? Get this guy up.
And hey, the Guardians have been winning games. They barely lost. Did you see them come all the way back last night and then blow it?
I did, but here's the thing. It's like, what? You got this guy just so dominate by more. Bring this kid up. There's nothing left for him to do in AAA. Like, the guy is literally nothing left to prove. Paul Skeens also might have nothing left to prove. Now, this I did watch. I did watch a good chunk of this. And what I loved most too, there's moments too where Skeens is doing what I love, which is moving guys off the plate a little bit. Like when you're throwing 99, 100 miles an hour, and it's even just a little bit inside, you see these guys, they're bailing. Next pitch, right on the outside corner. And I'm just like, yep, look, that's pitching, everybody. Like, that's what pitching supposed to do. Another 6 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts for Paul Skeens.
I like you. I like you telling people how things work, because Joe definitely got me one time with the John Lovitz. You see, the way it works is the train moves, not the station. Oh man, I was like so mad. You pulled that out at the perfect time. I was so mad, but also impressed. Right, like that's a tough spot to be in. You know, mad and impressed at the same time.
I feel like that's your MO, just spending time with me.
Yeah. Over
the last decade that we've been friends. I feel like that's pretty much it. Just mad, sort of impressed.
Yeah.
All right. Who was impressive yesterday? Let's do the 3-up. Marcus Semien, 2 for 5, a double, a triple, 2 runs. Cole Reagans, hopefully you bought the dip, because 4 hits, 6 2/3 over the Blue Jays, 9 strikeouts. Jarren Duran 3 for 4 with a run and RBI. I love Jarren Duran. Every day he just fills the stat sheet. It's delicious. It's Jarren Duran is just points. If you're in a points league, you just give Jarren Duran a big giant hug, because every day all he does is just fill the box score. Your thoughts on Jarren Duran's season so far, which has been terrific to start?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. And the Red Sox have, for all the injuries they've sustained, they kept the hitting up at least. So we love to see that. Hopefully Devers getting out of April, right? Hopefully Devers turns it around and he doesn't have these crazy injury things again. But yeah, Duran is having a great season. So
yeah, he certainly is. And one of the more mispriced guys in draft season this year. And I'm so glad that we were so aggressive on him, because he's been everything. Hunter Brown has been Brown, 5 2/3, 6 earned. Brown downs for him. Boo. Against the it's just, come on, man. Look, I don't know what the tease of Hunter Brown starting to pitch well and then going back to this game today with 6 earned runs yesterday, I should say, just terrible. Cookie Carrasco, 8 runs in 4 innings, no bueno. And Logan Webb let me down yesterday. Way to go, Logan. 9 hits, 3 2/3. I'm glad I wagered on you. That was terrific.
Dude, Nestor, same thing for me. Nestor had 5. I had 5.5.
Ugh.
And somebody kicked the ball, and then he threw like 20 more pitches. He would have had a full another inning if not for the error, but tough.
Yeah, seriously. He's not alone though. Obviously, there were some other guys that were bad, but those were the ones that just pissed me off the most. Let's talk about injuries. So top of the show, we mentioned Grayson Rodriguez, so that kind of hit everybody like a ton of bricks.
And Trout. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we won't spend too much time. Blake Snell bullpen session today. Luis Patino, remember him? He was going to be a big pitcher when he's having Tommy John. Yeah. Luis Patino.
Yeah.
Walker Buehler allowed 1 run in 5 innings for AAA, so he's working his way back. But this is the most curious one. Alek Manoah, 12 Ks yesterday in 6 innings. Would you be running to pick up Alek Manoah off the waiver wire right now if you just lost Grayson Rodriguez, Boggs?
Absolutely not. No.
What do you think Manoah is roster percentage?
Oh, where is he right now? Whataburger.
Yeah. That's his roster percentage, is Whataburger.
Oh, his roster percentage. No, I bet he's at the Burger King drive-thru right now.
I've never had the Whataburger. We don't have them around here.
Oh, Joey.
But I hear they're good. I've had the In-N-Out in Vegas.
Yeah, look, I shouldn't say that. It's good for fast food burgers. It is way better than McDonald's and Burger King.
Is it better than Five Guys fast food burger?
No, but it's also not $29 or whatever
expensive.
Five Guys is.
But then last time I got Five Guys, true story, I ordered 2 large fries. Literally the entire brown bag was filled with French fries. Like I might as well
fries are not great.
They're good if you really get them at the like if they're eating there. They don't make it on the
I haven't even found them good there. I mean, I guess I've heard get them Cajun style, but you ask a fat guy about food, you're gonna get heavy opinions here.
All right, let's talk about Alek. Well,
Alek Manoah's in the drive-through.
I like what you did there. Heavy opinions. That was clever. Look, it was really good. 27% roster, just so you know. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Still floating out there, ladies and gentlemen. All right. One more injury to Yariel Rodriguez goes on the 15-day IL. So that's why I said, hey, Manoah, 12 strikeouts, AAA. Rodriguez goes on the IL. Seems like an easy move to me. Seems like that's what we would do here. But I mean, on all honesty, do you think that's something we could possibly see here?
I mean, maybe. Alek Manoah can come back at any point. I mean, they're babying him, but I want him to string together a couple of these starts down there before he comes back up. So it's not for me. I'm not adding Alek Manoah.
For Bogman. So Bogman, it's not for him. He's not having it. He doesn't like it. But you know what we do like? We like bets. So it's Wednesday. Let's do the best bets of the day with Joey P. And today, Scott Bogman, as the Welsh is on vacation. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, everybody, to make your bets at bet365. Use that promo code leading off. Get 150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, but only at bet365 with the promo code leading off. Bogman, what do you have for the people today in the betting world?
I mean, Byron Buxton over 1.5 total bases is -110. He's 6 for 8 versus Flexen with 3 doubles and 2 homers. So I like that one a lot. Alec Boehm over 1.5 total bases at -105. He's 2 for 3 versus Sandoval, and he's 16 for 30 over the last week. No one is hitting hotter than Alec Boehm right now. So let's put him on the board. And this is a weird one because I usually don't take these, but Ellie De La Cruz, half a stolen base is +160 because it's tough to predict when those stolen bases are going to happen. But right now, if Ellie gets on first, you might as well put him on second. Guess how many caught stealings Luis Campusano has between this year and last year?
Oh, wow. 2.
That's right, Joe. It's 0. None. Not
damn.
one. So, yes, I do think
That's
Ellie, if he gets on
call.
base, could steal second. So that's what I'm going for here.
Love that. Love the Ellie one. That's spectacular. All right, for me, I'm going unders.
By the way, just real quick, Mike in the chat says Welsh being sick tomorrow, minus 250. You said after the water park, he would definitely.
I did. 100%.
Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see.
How did that move? I had it at minus 400 when he left. So I don't know how it moved. I guess the, one side was bet pretty heavy there, but coming back from the water park with 2 kids, like, come on, man. Like, I told you, when you leave the water park, they should give you a towel when you enter and antibiotics when you leave. That's pretty much what they should give you. But I'm going to give you unders today. And I know Bogman is, always says to me, life is too short for the under, but you know what? Like,
hey, you know what life's not too short for? To make money.
So Jose Butto, my own guy, I'm going against the Booty Man. Under 5.5 strikeouts, minus 105 today. Joe Musgrove, who's been lately, I'm going to troll him to under 5.5 strikeouts for him, minus 134. To watch tonight, he'll have 12. But I'm going to do my best here to stay calm. But Joe Musgrove, another one trending in the wrong direction. Butto, I think, more of a 5-inning pitcher too, so I don't expect him to go far into this game. And Yamamoto, I want to build some stuff. I want to build some love for Yamamoto today. Yamamoto over 5.5 strikeouts against your Diamondbacks, Boggs, plus 112. And you can also take his under 2.5 earned runs. So even if he just gives up 2 in a great start, you get even money on that. You can put the over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 112 and the Dodgers at minus 142 on the money line. And you get anywhere from 3 to 4 to 1 on that, depending on where you're making your wager. So that's the same game parlay of the day. Loaded up with Yamamoto and the Dodgers. Yamamoto's been brilliant lately, striking out everybody. Love this one. He's been dominant. Let's go. Put some money on the Dodgers and the unders for everybody else. That's how we're rolling today for the best bets of the day for Wednesday. All right, Boggs, it's time to call your shot. Now, yesterday you had Aaron Judge. So, where are you going
only
today?
1 for 2 on the home run calls. Today, I'm going to go with Jose Altuve. Give me a leadoff hitter. Easy,
and a leadoff hitter who owns Tristan McKenzie, by the way. Have you seen the numbers? He's got a few homers already, hitting 500, I think, in his career against him. And that's where I'm going. Welsh never wants to. I put Jose Altuve in, and then I saw you at Altuve, and I said, isn't that nice that we could be friends? Because Welsh never wants to pick the same guy as me. And if I pick the same guy as him, he changes it. So you and I are real friends.
I'm not changing. I was first to the sheet. Jose Altuve is mine first. So,
well, you're first, you're last, you're everything. Let's take a look at the homer board too. Right now, I'm at 10 still. Scalarp is still at 13. Yankees still at 13. No change in the top of the board. It's been a slow year for home runs. I think it's going to change when we get here, turn the corner. But the other thing you need to know is Discord is alive and well. You can join us right after the show for cleaning up. I will be there taking your questions. So join us on our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. It's free. We're talking baseball, football, everything's on there. There's the betting pros too. So join our Discord for free and join us for cleaning up immediately after the show today. And if you missed it, you can always listen to it wherever you get your podcast. It's the audio only. Special shout out to Bogman for joining me the last 2 days. You're going to see more Boggs in the month of May too, hanging out with us as May is a busy, busy month. A lot going on there. But that'll do it for us. For everybody out there who's got Mike Trout, I'm sorry. We'll get through this together. We will be your rock. Don't worry. We're going to figure out some things. We'll get Welsh's take on that tomorrow. But again, that'll do it for us. The story of the game, however, goes on. For Scott Bogman, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Avoid the Trout.